Hey everyone, this is Chris.
And Mike.
And you're listening to One Cross Radio. And before we get into today's topic, just so you know, there will probably be some background noise. My puppy Luna, who is adorable, is up and about and drinking. It is also crazy windy outside. Like part of my fence from my neighbor's yard just blew into mine not too long ago. Mike was awesome and helped me try to get it back up.
I lifted a rock.
Mike lifted a heavy rock. not the Rock, not Dwayne Johnson, but he lifted a rock, and it was quite helpful. But the wind is blowing like crazy, so you'll probably hear some of that. Anyway, on to today's topic, or topics.
Today's special.
Mike,
Yeah.
what are we talking about?
Something maritime related.
How is Titanic maritime?
It's a boat. It was a boat.
Oh my gosh. So
A ship.
today we are talking about, firstly, Titanic. The absolutely wonderful film from James Cameron.
Yes, we're talking about the film, not the actual ship.
No.
Well, I'm
no.
sure that might get in there somewhere.
It's bound to. It's a movie about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Titanic came out in 1997.
Yes,
It is
December 17th, 1997.
It is 21 years old, which is nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got old somehow, and so did the movie.
And
The
there's
movie has not aged.
no,
It's timeless.
and it is still debated whether or not Jack could have fit on that door. Although I think Leo DiCaprio tweeted about it, and I can't repeat it because they're swearing. But
Oh.
yeah, I think he said, "Let's officially close this." Rose, there was room on the door, plus some other stuff. So why is this? Why do you like this movie so much, man?
Oh, that's a solid question. I remember being so captivated by it. Like, even before I had even seen the movie, I remember, like, I don't know if I mentioned this on a podcast before, or just to you, but when I was young, like, I didn't go to movies. Like, I would go every so often, like for my birthday or whatever. But like, if I wanted to see a movie, I had to wait till it came out on video. And in those days, that was like a year later.
Well, yeah, like it's not like 4 to 6 months later, and the
Yeah.
Blu-ray's out.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I remember being so captivated by it, and I wanted to see the movie. And I had to wait and wait. My sister had seen it because she was a teenager at the time, and she went with her friends, and a lot of teenage girls went to see that movie.
Leo's heartthrob days.
Oh yeah. He's still a heartthrob. He's just a mature heartthrob.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I remember, I don't know what it was about the commercials. I remember seeing them on TV, and there was the stern rising up in the air, and the dramatic music, and it was wow. I wanted to see it. But like, what sticks to me about that movie, as I find I occasionally have to defend it, I say the movie is so great because it has something for everyone.
Really does.
You know, it really does. It has romance and a good-looking guy for the girls. It has an epic tale with the lights flickering in the
Yep.
house right now.
Because of that crazy wind.
Because the crazy wind. Yeah, so it has action for the guys. There's tragedy. There's a good cry or five in there. It's historically, interesting.
Yeah.
It was just like, they don't make movies like that, or movies don't happen like that anymore. Like, there are big movies. We've had big movies since then. But like, I've said this before, Titanic was like the last big movie where like everything was Titanic. Titanic was on the news, whether it was like something true story related or it was about the movie. It was on every entertainment show. It was on every magazine. There was merchandise, not usually associated with the movie, but like Titanic related merchandise. It was everywhere. TV specials, History Channel specials, Titanic everywhere.
Yeah.
It was huge. It was a cultural phenomenon. No, really, it was enormous. Everything was Titanic, and even to this day, it's still like a huge movie that people reference, right? Maybe not like pop culture references so much anymore, but they talk about it every now and then, and it still has there's still this reverence for it.
Well, Celine Dion's heart is still going on.
It will never stop. It still goes on. But like even that song, as much as people hate it, that's a powerful song.
Man, I've gone from hating it to being like, I don't care. I friggin' love this
you hear
song
that
now.
song and you're totally pulled into it, and you're like, check. Yeah, people got tired of it. It's not that it's a bad song or it lacks emotion or anything. It's just it was so overplayed because Titanic was huge and it was everywhere.
Yeah, no, Titanic was massive. I mean, I'll debate that there's been like cultural, like huge movies since like Phantom Menace came out 2 years later, and at the time it was huge. And then we've had Avengers, and we've had stuff where it's like it's pointing to that, where it's building up. But that was a huge film.
But like Titanic, it wasn't like we're Star Wars. There's a specific set of people that see Star Wars. Titanic, everyone saw, and that's why it was the biggest movie ever.
It wasn't one like a niche thing or something that had existed before, and it was like returning to that franchise. It was
it wasn't a franchise film or anything.
It was a one and done. I mean, I'd love a Titanic too, but how the heck? What story would you tell with that?
It'd be about the ship, the Titanic 2, that didn't really.
That also sunk.
There was a Titanic 2. It was like a straight-to-video type movie. So bad.
Oh yeah, I think that was from the Asylum people who do
probably
the terrible stuff.
Dolph Lundgren in it or something. I don't know.
No, it's odd, but Titanic, and I feel weird saying it. It might be the crown jewel in Cameron's hat.
Is it his best film? Is that what you're saying?
It might be, and I feel weird saying that just because, as much as I don't want him to do just nothing but friggin' Avatar movies, because it's just going to be all Avatar from here on out, like 4 sequels, and I'm not interested in Ferngully in space for another 4 movies. Where credit where it's due, the 3D was amazing.
I don't really remember it, but yeah.
The 3D was amazing, but the story is one we've seen dozens of times.
Yeah.
But T2 is amazing. Aliens is a classic, but Titanic, it exists outside the action or sci-fi niche.
Yeah, and The True Lies is completely forgotten for some reason.
Yeah.
No, it's a great movie. It's got humor and action and one-liners and Arnold.
Arnold, debatably at the height of his powers.
That was like his last great movie. Like, everything was downhill from there.
Although, I did love Arnold in Expendables 2. But
but that was just a bit.
I also loved Expendables 2. But
yeah, that was entertaining.
Yeah. Like, Titanic was fantastic. And it's like fine wine. For me, it's only gotten better as I've gotten older. Now, I don't like wine, but that analogy holds. Where it's, I remember as a kid seeing it like, oh man, this sucks. It's just for girls. And then 10 years later, sitting down and watching it being like, alright, I don't care for the first half, but the second half, like when the ship hits the iceberg.
That's the guy half.
That's the guy half. The movie's awesome. Yeah. And then now I can watch it the whole way through being like, yes, okay, part of the writing is weak because the lead characters say each other's names ad nauseum. But
it's the Cyclops and Jean Grey syndrome.
Yeah.
Jean.
Scott! Jean!
Scott! Just goes back and forth
Jean,
like that.
Let me in.
Jean, let me in.
Yeah, where just the writing is a little bit bad in that spot, but that's it, where the characters are so very well developed. The acting's solid from everybody. Friggin' King Theoden is the captain of the ship.
The supporting actors in the movie, they're like better than they're their main actors.
And
they're so good.
You had the guy, like being whoever who is alive out there. That guy was Mr. Fantastic from the first 2 bad Fantastic Four movies.
Why am I drawing a blank on his name? Not Ewan Bremner, but he's got a similar like a Welsh name. Anyway,
he was great in his like 20 seconds.
Yeah, that's when. He nailed that. Like what line does he have? Is anyone alive out there?
And then we were too late.
That's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
All he's doing is waving a flashlight and yelling things.
And seeing your
heart is breaking.
And seeing floating dead people. And it looks so good. Like, it visually holds up.
Oh, yeah. Like, yeah. Oh, man.
Which is leading me to my segue, but I don't want to segue out of Titanic yet. So, Yeah.
Getting back to the supporting actors.
Yeah.
The one that always comes to mind is Victor Garber playing shipbuilder Thomas Andrews.
Oh, yeah.
He was so good in that.
Yeah.
When he starts off, he's cheerful, he's proud of his ship, and it's never going to sink. We don't have enough lifeboats, and you see there's the regret in his face. He's a little worried, but he's holding up. This is an unsinkable ship that I designed with my own hands and built it with all that. And then when he realizes the ship's going down, to the point where his last scene when "You're My God to Thee" is playing on the violins, there's the montage of all the people during the sinking, and he's going down. He's at the clock and he looks at his pocket watch and he sets the clock to the right time, but it just falls off the mantle because the ship's sinking. Like everything that he.
Oh yeah. Well, and his whole where he's like, Titanic will flounder, and it's just like founder.
Flounder is a fish.
sorry, my bad. When he says it will founder, like, dude is in. His performance was great,
solid.
And just it's so good. Like it is. I don't get the hate it sometimes gets.
Well, yeah, like you said, the way the attitude you had is, it's just a stupid girls movie. That's what people seem to see it as. It's just a stupid chick flick or. Anything along those lines. They don't see the depth in the movie and how it's got so much emotion to it, and like I said earlier, it's got something for everyone.
And literal depth because it's an ocean,
and because the ship goes down for 2 miles and rests on the bottom of the Atlantic.
Sorry.
Oh, it was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that movie, like. I love it, but I don't watch it very often because it's a commitment.
No, it is. It's 3 hours.
Yeah, but
and there's an emotional investment.
You have
with
to sit down and watch it. You can't be sitting there on your phone, or you can't be like have it on in the background while you're making stew or chopping carrots or whatever. You have to sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably could have it on in the background, but once that ship starts to sink, sit down and watch the movie.
Yeah. Well, the ship sinking takes a good...
It's half the movie.
Yeah, it's like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And that's where, in the first half, where I've grown to appreciate it, it's really solid because it makes that last bit so much more enjoyable just because you're getting invested in these characters now.
Well, yeah, and like the idea, and it's the real-life tragedy of it, is that you have this huge, magnificent ship, lap of luxury...
it's almost arrogantly like we don't need the lifeboats that Mr. Andrews suggested. Like we're not going anywhere.
Yeah, this ship will be fine. Like
one of the guys who founded it I think the character had a line being like, even God couldn't sink this ship.
Well, that's what they were saying back in 1912.
Yeah.
But there was definitely an arrogance about the ship, but even looking past that, like there's just such a grandeur to the ship, and then the real life tragedy is that for this to just go down and take 1,500 people with it.
Yeah,
sure, more people have died, but it's really that golden child status that makes it so much of a tragedy, and why we're still talking about it today, right?
Yeah. And just how many of them were like third, like the majority was third and second class. Yeah, like the first class were in the boats, and the lifeboats were half filled, and
it's just like not everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong, but just like so many things. There's a lot of, and this is the historical aspect of it. So many people saying, "Well, if they had done this, and maybe if this was different," and that's. Part of the tragedy of it is that people were stupid about it.
It was preventable.
Oh, well, not entirely.
No,
but it's the arrogance of it.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate.
Well, preventable in a way of, I've read about like the actual tragedy so much, where how it was, like the way it's described, it was almost like it was fated. Where it's easy to say like if they had just gone straight through.
Yeah.
But the people up in the nest, it was like a still night and
there was no breaking water at the bergs.
No breaking water at the bergs.
People seem to
no
forget.
Moon to show.
Yeah, people. That's what I'm saying. People seem to forget or not think about how dark it is when you're not in the city.
Yeah,
they're out in the middle of the Atlantic.
Yeah,
no light. You can't see anything. I've been up north, not very far up north, far enough up north to be away from the city light. And at night, it is dark. You don't see anything. Imagine being in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean. You don't see anything.
Yeah, like the only light that's around, unless the moon is out and it's no clouds, like. You're just going to see the light from your ship, but that only goes so far.
So far. Plus, they've got so many hundred feet or whatever in front of them between the nest and the prow of the bow.
Yeah.
Yeah. But back to the movie. It just it hits you, right? Like even the opening scene. It's just the waves, and then Titanic fades up, and the music comes on with hard in my throat.
Yeah,
like
that
because it's tied to that same vocal comes on at the end once you see the devastation, and Rose does a little monologue, which itself is one of those points where the tears start to flow. You know,
and that might be the late James Horner's
that's
probably his
score knocked it out of the park.
Yeah. I'd say that's his best score.
Because even in the glory day or two of the Titanic, that the music that plays just before "I'm the King of the World," it's inspirational. It's driving. It's grand. It's fantastic.
Yeah,
yeah. Like you're really watching that fence come down, aren't you?
Yeah, I know.
Well,
so. Listener, the wonderful Dave, who has been on the podcast before, my awesome next door neighbor and pastor at St. Clair, he is helping repair one section of the fence, so one will stay up, while the other two out of four have completely come down. So he is a great neighbor and a great man. Dave, thank you so much. You are wonderful. Titanic. Yeah, like the movie is really, really wonderful.
It's epic filmmaking.
It is, and there is some stuff in the sense of if I was talking to a Christian or someone who actively wants to avoid a film with nudity, I'd be like, okay, here's the part where you can look away. But to give credit, it's one where I got to give credit where it's due. I look away, but something I appreciate of it is, it's not sexual.
Yeah. Okay. Let me talk about the nudity for a second.
Yeah.
Okay. So, 1997. We're young boys. Sure, there's boobies in this movie. Ho, 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 ho. But come on. I mean, it's even then. It's like you said. It's not sexual. It's art. It's an artistic scene. Not in the sense that the movie's artistic, but it's about art. And art has had nudes in it for how many centuries? It's not. It's the body. It's nothing dirty.
Yeah.
There's a sensual undertone to it because they're falling in love, but it's not about that. It is about that. It's about the falling in love. It's the connection there. But it's not about seeing boobies or being exploitative.
No, the two characters then do have sex moments after, and you don't see anything.
That's right. You see a hand on the window.
Or not moments, 2 minutes and a quick chase scene through the boat later.
Yeah, and even then, it's not gratuitous.
No.
It's the aftermath, and for people to be all about it's all about the nudity, get over it. It's not about that. It's a minor thing.
Yeah,
and
it's not
boobies for boobies' sake. You know.
No, it's not enough for me to. I'd never say don't watch this movie. I'd be like, look, if this is something that really bothers you, know that it's not a sexual scene. But if it's still something you need to avoid, here's where it is. Here's the setup. You look down for a minute.
Yeah, and even it's funny. I was watching the TV version a few months back. Let's say it was on AMC, I guess.
And even in the beginning when they find the drawing, they blur the drawing. Americans, and come on, go to the art. Well, I don't know. Go to the art gallery. Go to any.
And this
it's nothing.
And this can lead to we'll do this.
This is a whole other podcast.
This is a whole other podcast.
But it's
where
it's the human body. You look under your clothes. What do you see?
Where it's in that sense, like there was nothing sexual and they're censoring it, and yet what you can get away with on, say, The Walking Dead, or on anything else, especially with violence, like film ratings and why they are what they are. That's a separate podcast that we will do down the road. Yeah, I love Titanic. It is, like I said, it's only grown on me since I first saw it, and now it's the first half is great, and then the second half is only better. Not to the detriment of the first. It's just that's when it fires up to 11, and it doesn't.
That's the movie. Really.
It doesn't lull.
Nobody went. Or the Titanic isn't remembered for being a ship that sailed successfully for a couple days.
No.
And then docked. It's about the sinking.
Yeah.
We talk about it because it went down.
Yeah.
And that's the part of the movie that really makes you hold on to your seat. You're not getting up to go pee at that point.
No.
But by that point, it's been like an hour and a half. Maybe you need to pee. Pause it after. If you're watching it on DVD, pause it. Don't put in the second disc yet.
Yeah.
After Captain Smith says, "You may get your headlines, Mr. Ismay."
Yeah.
You can go pee, but make sure you're empty and have a good seat.
Yep. One more. Sorry.
Have a drink of water if you're dehydrated, but not too much because you might cry.
Yep, that's fair. And then one more thing before we switch gears. Out of Titanic, I think, and it's something you showed me that was discovered later on, and to me it's something that they should teach in film school about how not to end your movie. So attached to the DVD.
Oh, man.
Attached to the DVD, and this is something that would have made the movie go completely off the rails.
It completely ruined the movie.
It would have ruined the movie.
It would have negated 3 hours and roughly 13 minutes of movie.
Please look it up so you can understand what we're talking about. The alternate ending for Titanic. It would have completely wrecked the preceding awesomeness of 3 hours.
Like, if you were to watch it, like if we hadn't just said that and you came across it, you would think it was a joke for the MTV Movie Awards.
Yeah.
It is so over the top ridiculous.
Yeah.
And Bill Paxton, he really sold it. I think I'm hoping that he really went extra cheesy on it to make sure it did not make it into the movie.
Well, he's borderline Golluming. Like, so, all right, let's spell it out, and then please look it up to watch so you can understand. It's
Old Rose is at the back of the ship.
Where it separates from the theatrical cut is Old Rose is at the back of the ship. Now, in the theatrical cut, while Rose's granddaughter and Paxton are having their conversation, Old Rose silently slips to the back of the ship, drops the heart of the ocean back into the ocean,
Spoilers.
And then
it's been 21 years.
It's been 21 years. And then she either drifts off into her sleep, or I choose to believe it's the idea of her character is at peace, she passes away, and then she's reunited with Jack and the crew in Titanic Heaven. It's not actually Titanic Heaven, but anyways, like, it's a great ending. Now, here's where things take a turn. In the alternate ending, while Rose's granddaughter and Pax attack...
they're having a talk.
R.I.P. B-Pax. Game's never over, man. Sorry. While him and granddaughter Rose are having the conversation, old lady Rose is slinking to the back of the ship, and then they're like, "Oh my gosh, she's gonna jump!" They see her. Run over, and then there's a Mexican standoff. It is the only way to describe it.
Yeah, that's...
without pistols, but there is a Mexican standoff where old woman Rose is suddenly holding
dangling
the heart of the ocean
over the rail.
Yeah.
You'll never take it from me.
And Paxton is suddenly like looking like, my precious, I must hold it.
Yeah, there's this slow, I don't even know if it zooms, but it focuses on his face and he's like, my precious.
Yeah. And
Rose is funny. She suddenly becomes like a pirate. Like,
yeah.
You'll never take it.
And then she starts lecturing Paxton about how all he wants is material and potentially money.
Okay, listeners.
Yeah, just to paint the picture of something else that just happened. Dave and Jen have a large dog that is best friends with Luna named Beyonce. We heard a sudden thud, and Beyonce, who's a large dog, is up against the glass.
Like Thor on the front of the ship.
Yeah, like Thor on the front of the ship in Ragnarok. Back to this alternate ending. She suddenly starts lecturing him, being like, no, all you want is material and you really need love, or something like that. Something that is just so not even good Captain Planet, but just so like over the top, ridiculous, simplistic message that is out of left field, and you're like, this is what we're getting after the emotional climax. And then she no-looker tosses the heart.
She makes it seem like an accident.
Like an accident. Yeah, she's just like, oops. But it's like when you're taking a shot at a basketball net and you hook shot.
She does a reverse hook shot.
Yeah.
Behind her back, part of the ocean, and chucks it into the ocean.
And then it gets even more ridiculous. Suddenly everybody starts laughing. And
it's a slow laugh.
A slow laugh. And then we get Paxton staring at the sky laughing.
Yeah, there's the crane shot, the overhead shot of him like laughing with his arms out maniacally.
Yeah. Like, and then it's supposed to segue into that emotional ending where she dies and goes
to come after that. It would totally ruin that ending. Kills me.
Like that was filmed. That was actually shot and put to camera.
Yeah.
It was considered as the ending to the movie.
Yeah. I didn't even think of it. For them to have followed up that joke of a scene with the sequence starting with Rose in her bed, sleeping or not,
and then you're seeing the pictures of her.
That would have totally ruined, because that scene, that's like the one that has consistently like broke me.
Right.
I laughed because I was thinking about it the other night. Okay, so last time I watched the movie in its entirety was probably about a year, 14 months ago, let's say. And it was like the first time I had seen the movie after being in a real like a relationship, like a loving relationship. And it's I've experienced it with other things. Like, you see things differently after a certain experience or stage in your life. So like, I thought things were sad in Titanic. I had previously shed some tears, but then there were so many other like new things that hit me after being in a different stage in my life. Like, I was just a mess. I was a total mess. I don't know where it started, but like usually, I guess usually the crying would start around like when Jack's dead. Like, I'll never let go. Like, usually I'm a little choked up, but this time I'm like, they loved each other so much. The tears start coming down.
Oh man!
And then there's Rose's speech. There was only one boat that came back. One.
Yeah.
Pulled people out of the water, and then it's like pulled 12 people, 12 out of 1,500. She does this speech, and that's always been a very emotional speech. I think that got me choked up. Or maybe I was still crying at that point. I don't know. But like, when it comes to that ending scene with Rose in her bed, it's over. It's over for me. That's one that's always killed me. So I remember I'm she's in her bed. She's sleeping, but now she's dead. She's dying, an old lady in her bed like Jack said she would. She lived a great life. Look at the pictures. She was a pilot. She rode a horse. And she was an actress. An actress. I'm just a mess. And look, she's in her bed and she's dead. And now we're under the water. We're going to the wreck. Oh, we're going around. It's becoming new again. And watch out for that pole as we swing around. You know what pole I'm talking about? Yes. And I'm like, oh, there's everyone. There's Tommy. I love Tommy. Oh, Mr. Andrews. Mr. Astor. Oh, Jack's at the top of the stairs. And we're walking. Oh, Rosie's young again.
Oh, my gosh.
They're gonna kiss and be happy forever in Titanic heaven. And everyone's applauding. This is a beautiful movie. I'm just a total mess. I got up after the movie was over, and I was just like, I started making fun of myself. You're a mess. I looked in the mirror, and I'm just a total wreck. Like, what's the matter with you? I'm alright. And like, usually, like, if I'm seeing a movie that makes me cry, like the movie's over, the credits roll, maybe I'm crying for an extra couple seconds. I went on for like 15 minutes. I was just a mess.
Oh,
totally, like, I had lost control.
Oh, man.
But like, I wasn't like really sad. I was just crying and crying and crying and crying. It was hilarious. It was so funny. Oh man, I'm crying now thinking about it, but laughter crying.
Yeah, it's quite funny to see.
She's dead. But really, like, I think that's a beautiful moment.
Yeah, no, it's a great ending.
Because she had fulfilled her life, and now that she finally gets the story out, she can finally rest.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. And she got back to Titanic, back with those.
Yeah. But then the cynical people say, well, what about that husband she had for like 60 years? What about him? He's totally forgotten. Who cares about him? He's not even in the movie. He's not Leonardo DiCaprio. Leo is or Jack is the man that set her free.
Right.
I guess that means a little something, but still, I guess it's a little inconsiderate of her. But she moved on with life. Jack's dead.
Yeah.
She took what he taught her, or opened up in her, whatever, and lived a good life.
Yeah.
She was an actress.
She had kids.
She rode a horse with one leg on each side. None of that side saddle stuff.
Oh man. Great movie.
So yeah, I love that movie, man. Like, and like the action, and
for a non-action movie, the action is intense.
The real guy moment in that movie, and every guy I've ever met who's seen the movie talks about it. The guy hitting the propeller. That's the moment we all waited for.
Yeah.
Oh, wait till the guy hits the propeller. Oh, that's awesome. He spins. And then, and I just remember back then there was all these conversations. We were, sitting around the lunch table just talking about Titanic. Oh, they could have done this, and what about this part? And, why they shouldn't have jumped off because it was warmer on the boat. Like, yes, Jack knew that.
And he waited to the end because the boat's falling.
And then, I don't know if anybody else does this. I'm assuming they do. When the ship's just about to hit the water and Jack says, hold your breath and kick, everyone holds their breath.
Yeah, that's fair.
Hold your breath.
At points I've caught myself doing that where I'm like, I'll do that. I also oddly catch myself doing that in other movies where I'm really dialed in and they're about to go under. It's like, hold your breath. I'll be like, and then it'll take a second. I'm like, Chris, you're watching a movie.
I'm not in the movie.
I'm not underwater.
Yeah.
I'll never let go, Jack.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I like the fan theory, even though it's completely ridiculous, that Jack washed up on the shore of the beach in Inception. Somehow he traveled through time.
That now makes me wish, no offense to Marion Cotillard. She gave a great performance in Inception, and then in Dark Knight Rises.
That was the worst death scene ever. Death, not deaths.
But I now wish that her character was played by Kate Winslet. That would have been wonderful.
Oh, you mean her Inception character?
Yeah, her Inception character. And then they don't have names. They're just referred to. And you're like, oh.
I love how the friendship of Leo and Kate still goes on. Like, there's a picture of when Kate won her Oscar.
Yeah.
Leo's in the audience, I don't know how to describe it, but he's bright-eyed and hands are under his chin.
And she's like so happy for him.
Well, yeah. And then when the roles were reversed, when he won his Oscar, Kate was doing the same thing.
Yeah.
It was so nice.
Yeah. No.
So nice.
They seem like good friends, which is nice.
That's nice to know.
Indeed.
Yeah. What a movie.
What a movie.
It's so emotional. That's the thing that hits me. It's so emotional. That music comes on. It's one of those scores where you hear it and you know the scene.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair.
Lord of the Rings can do that too.
Certain
Star Wars can, but a lot of not a lot, but some of the music is reused, so you can't really pinpoint it.
That's where the Star Wars, I'd say, beyond A New Hope, where it starts getting certain themes and then variations of those themes. That's where, like, as much as I love the A New Hope score, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, but Holst's The Planets, like, it is so lifted and referential to that. That was the blueprint Williams used. Mm-hmm. But then when you get to Empire Strikes Back, that's where it's like, hey, it's beyond just the Force theme, Luke looking in the sunset, and Leia's theme. Yeah. Like, and the trench run, like, I've actually carved out, like, created great music here that's Hundo P. Me. Yeah. And that's where you get, like, the Imperial March. And then, as flawed as the prequels are, the music is fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
And so with certain scores out of the prequels, as soon as I hear it, I'm like, I know exactly where in this bad movie I'm in.
Yeah. Well, like, the one that comes to mind is Return of the King. Like, when you hear the I don't know what the piece of music is called, but it's at Aragorn's coronation.
Yeah.
And it hits that point where it's the My Friends You Bow to No One, and the score lifts up.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, tears again. Beautiful moment.
There's legit been times where I'm watching Lord of the Rings, and the score has almost made me cry.
Oh, it's a beautiful score.
And it's like not even because anything. The score's not even sad. It's it's this beautiful happy moment, like that moment. Or the one that always almost gets me is when in Towers, when Gandalf and the Rohirrim are showing up, and it's just as the sun breaks and they run into the field, just when the score crescendos perfectly there. Like, it hits me on an emotional level, and I'm just like, why? Nobody's even dying except the nameless orcs I don't care about.
Yeah, man, that powerful scores. I just got they reissued the complete scores for Fellowship.
Nice.
The original pressing, I guess it's long out of print, and it was going for, like, big bucks. And then they re-released it with Blu-ray audio.
Nice.
So I picked that up. 3 CDs and a Blu-ray audio disc. So that's nice.
Nice.
Yeah. Otherwise, you have to pirate it. It's like at least $300 a set.
I believe it.
So I've seen them for like $1,100.
Oh my gosh,
it's ridiculous! But they're reissuing them. They even did a vinyl release, but don't need it. It's fine. Don't need it that bad.
Just to kind of piggyback off the score, and we'll see how long this part goes for. But
okay, who cares?
Just to piggyback off the score, because it's one of my favorite film scores, but then also to hark way back to earlier in the conversation when we were talking about how visually Titanic has held up. There's another movie from the 1990s that I just watched it the other night, and the special effects hold up to this day. and then it has a terrific score, and I'm talking about Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were getting at for a second.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Where
when you said visual effects and people,
people
say that.
The special effects in Jurassic Park are better than stuff that's even coming out today, where they look better. Like visually, it still is stunning. Where the technology in the film is a product of its time, where it's like an interactive CD-ROM, and
I still get excited for interactive CD-ROMs. I don't know about you.
and all that stuff. But it's a wonderful film.
Yeah.
It is dang near flawless. It is.
It's a really good movie. And people all the time, they say that the visual effects hold up better than anything today. And I think that's because the visual effects were not used as a storytelling crutch.
No.
They complemented the story instead of let's pick on the prequels again.
Yeah. Or even The Hobbit.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah. They used CG just because.
Yeah.
We can do this with CG. Let's do that then. Not we need to come up with something. We need to tell this story. Would CG assist in any way? I don't think I'm making my point as best as I can, but you know where I'm coming from?
Yeah. Well, it's like in the prequels, and then The Hobbit, and then Green Lantern, even, where so much of it's like,
why do they need a CG suit on the Green Lantern?
Like, really? Let's just use CG, but heck, I'll think just to pick on Attack of the Clones, because it's something that always bothers me, where I think Ewan McGregor is an amazing actor, and I shudder to think what, especially Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, would have been without him. Because at least
he held those movies up.
At least in The Phantom Menace, you had like Liam Neeson as well, who was holding down the acting front, although not given that much to do. Like,
he hated his life.
But then you got Attack of the Clones, where it's when Obi-Wan's on Kamino, it's like, hey, we're going to have you talk to a tennis ball hanging off a stick. And we're not going to have an actor here for you to emote off of. It was almost like Mark Hamill when he was shooting Jedi, but at least he had something actually there, like a puppet, that he could kind of react off of. Mm-hmm. And he had something going into his ear, where he had someone to hear, where it's like, here, act and emote off of this nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the thing that I hate retelling famous stories, really, but that's the thing that happened with Ian McKellen when he was shooting The Hobbit. It was all just he was on a green screen, and he's just like, I can't do this. Yeah, I'm a real actor. I can't do this.
Yeah, no, there's stuff where he's like crying on set.
There's a "sir" in front of my name. I can't do this.
Yeah, and as I was like at Living Rock the other night, I wanted to watch Jurassic Park, so I brought it. And earlier that day, I'd watched Lost World, which is not perfect, but I still enjoy that movie a lot. And I think other people do, to the point where Jurassic World: Fallen Kingdom is the Lost World. Yeah. But with Jurassic Park, and to a lesser extent the Lost World, the CG is used really well. Like with the Rex scene in Jurassic Park is one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema. It is almost 10 minutes of borderline perfection. Yeah. And then I'm watching it where it's like, here's the robot, or here's the animatronic, but then here's where we added CG, and the CG was absolutely necessary in scenes because they couldn't show the animatronic walking.
Right. The general rule that I've created is anytime you see the dinosaur in full, it's CG. Yeah. Because you can't have wires sticking out.
No.
I mean, they could have, and then just erase the wires, but it's not the same.
Yeah. And it was seamless. If you had told me they had somehow created that great of an animatronic, I would have believed it.
Well, I think that's one of the rules of magic, is that you can put the call it the solution or the trick in front of people's faces. Just don't leave it sitting there. If you're going to have a CG dinosaur, cut between the animatronic and the CG, so people don't know what's what, or they can't keep up.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. With certain things, you can't do that. I mean, just because we just talked about Infinity War, like, you can't have a stand-in for friggin' Rocket Raccoon, because that would just probably be difficult to try to act off of.
No, they do. Sean Gunn sits in there.
Oh, okay, cool. Cool, I didn't know that.
He does a couple takes, and then he steps out, and they do it again.
Nice. Okay, see, then that's good. Yeah. But then, with The Lost World, as I was watching it, there's only one scene that you can completely tell is CG, and that's where it's Eddie Carr gets ripped in half by the two Rexes.
That's one of those scenes that
it's
scarred me as a child.
And it's awesome though. It is so good.
I do this with not a lot of movies, but I do this with movies, and I've done this for a long time since I was a kid. I shouldn't be thinking of it, but I think of how terrible that death would be.
Yeah.
And his is one of them. Like, that would be terrible.
Oh yeah, and he's
just the fear alone of being picked up by a dinosaur and knowing you're about to die. And then to be thrown in the air
and then
ripped in half.
Yeah.
Well, caught,
yeah.
and then ripped in half.
Yeah,
that's rough.
Yeah, and then the character was like such a selfless character. He was trying to save them.
Yeah,
like the Vince Vaughn. I can't, even though I just watched the movie. Nick Van Owen. Yeah,
Nick Van Owen.
And Sarah and Malcolm. Yeah. But in that scene where you'd seen the animatronic heads next to his Jeep, and then when they're bursting through, it's still the animatronic heads.
Yeah.
But then when it's the CG, the Rexes, their jaws are a bit longer.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I'm like, and it's not even that glaring. It just, you can tell, and it's like, it's fine, but.
The idea, or I guess the hope, is that you're so caught up in the scene that you don't care.
Yeah. No, it's just stuff you realize later. Yeah. But I friggin' love Jurassic Park, and I'm not looking forward to the next one, man.
I don't know. I'm not looking forward to it. I don't really care, I guess is the best way. I just sure, I'll see it. I love dinosaurs.
Yeah,
I want dinosaurs and everything.
Well, and that's a conversation we've had about Jurassic Park 3. I can't stand that movie, and that point where you'd be like, it's got dinosaurs, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see it. Yeah, it looks. I feel like it feels very corporate or very Hollywood.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a Jurassic Park movie. It feels like, hey, give us money.
Yeah. And and I had hope for it after the first Jurassic World, which I loved. I thought that was great.
It was a good return to the franchise.
Yeah, and it was nostalgic, but it was nostalgic in all the right ways. And then it showed you how to do a dinosaur fight, and included a nice little screw you Jurassic Park 3 moment where the Rex ran through the Spinosaurus skeleton. Yeah. And then you had that awesome tag team fight where friggin' Blue's hopping on Rexy's really back for leverage.
They really needed WWF entrance music for that scene. I think it's when Blue runs in, that's when the Rocks theme needs to hit. And then I guess when Rex comes in, that's when the glass breaks.
Yeah. And it's such a good scene. And the Indominus had been established as an interesting dinosaur villain.
Oh, very threatening.
Yeah. And then it's so one of the biggest gripes I have with Jurassic Park 3, and I'm going to rip on it for a little bit now, is I hated so much about that movie, but part of it was you had the Rex and Spino fight, and it was dumb that the Spino won, and it was also dumb that happened at the so early in the movie. I get it; they wanted to establish the Spino
dominance.
They were we're establishing the Spino early, but that movie has no real climax.
It just kind of ends.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's all right, we're in the water, and there's a fire, and the Spino's going to run away, and then we're giving the raptors back their eggs, and the army shows up, and then we're done.
And then the pterodactyls fly beside a helicopter, and it's peaceful, and then we're done.
And we're kind of done. Yeah. And I'm you should have moved that fight to the end of the movie, and the fight was 30 seconds long, and I get it, budget and all that, but I hated the placement of it. I hated the structure. So then getting a dino fight, at the end of Jurassic World, I was so giddy. And then I just turned to Jill because she knew I'd have opinions. And I'm that's how you do a dinosaur fight. And you have a Mosasaurus show up out of nowhere at the end.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was like The Undertaker coming in from under the ring and taking someone down.
Or film terms, it's almost like Freddy's glove showing up and pulling Jason's mask down. Which, don't watch any of the Friday the 13th movies. They're pretty awful. But that was from Freddy. Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th 9.
Or it was in Nightmare on Elm Street when Freddy pulls Nancy's mom through the...
Ooh.
That's what it was like.
Yeah. From that... Was that in the terrible Nightmare on Elm Street remake?
It was in the remake. They did the similar thing in the original. I just don't know what it was.
That movie was awful, except Earl Jackie Haley, who is always awesome and should be Rorschach more because Rorschach's awesome.
Where's he been?
I don't know.
Where's he been?
Yeah. But yeah, back to Jurassic Park 3. Something I found recently that has made me hate that movie almost even more.
Oh, okay.
Is finding out, like, you can see that it was shot without a script. They were just coming up with it as they went.
Yeah.
And they apparently had like 3 or 4 different scripts. But then one of them that they had planned to start shooting with, and then they decided to scrap it midway through, was so much better. And I'm like, would it have been dumb? Yeah. Would it have been as good as even The Lost World? Maybe, maybe not. But it would have been better than what we got, where it's at the beginning. You find out it's the pterodactyls attacking they attack the boat. It wasn't just like some creature that you never see that it doesn't make any sense why it would stay on the island if it's attacking from the water. Like, killed these people. And it's not just because some idiot father-in-law took his son on him.
His stepson.
His stepson. Yeah, on a clearly illegal operation.
I mean, they knew dinosaurs were there, right?
Yeah.
Because Lost World established that there were dinosaurs.
Well, yeah, it was a Rex ran through San Diego. You can't hide that.
I guess they were stupid enough to think that dinosaurs are just on the island.
Yeah.
Which is a fair assumption, I guess. It's still pretty stupid.
And one of the things they were going to do was, you'd find out later it was the pterodactyls, and that would come into play in the climax. And then the reason for Grant and other people being there wasn't like, we're looking for a kid. And we're with Tay Leone, who is just the worst in that movie. It's like there's been people dying on the Costa Rican mainland, and it's looking pretty sketchy. So it's like Alan Grant is willing to go with a team of people to go check it out to see if there's anything hinting like, hey, these creatures have broken out. And then we wouldn't. I don't think there would have been the birdcage, or there might have been, but I can't remember. I haven't read it. But then there was going to be the Spinosaurus. They were going to be in the river. There would have been the fire. But then Grant was going to try to provide a distraction to get everybody out of there. Was blowing on his raptor whistle thing.
No,
the chamber.
Yeah.
I hated how the raptors were in that movie. They were way too talky and everything. Alan.
Alan.
And then he was going to essentially toss the eggs out of the container, like near the Spino, so then the raptors would go into protective mode. Mm-hmm. And then the raptors were going to attack the Spinosaurus, and then it would kill a bunch, but then they'd keep coming, and they'd eventually overtake the thing, and then it would be other carnivores showing up to eat the carcass, because now this apex predator has been taken out, where I'm like, visually, that would look great, and that would have been a great climax. But then when they got to the beach, they'd find the remains of the boat as the army's about to show up, and instead of showing up in submarines or whatever it was...
They were in tanks, I think.
Yeah, it was going to be like helicopters, and then Grant would be putting like 2 and 2 together and see evidence like, no, it's the pterodactyls. And then you were going to get the pterodactyls attacking the helicopters, which was something they had planned for The Lost World before they decided to go to the Rex in San Diego.
You know, the one thing I want in Lost World, Spielberg's got to come back and explain to us what happened on that boat.
Yeah.
Like, please. I understand that there was a deleted sequence in there. You can't just take it out and leave nothing. It doesn't make any sense.
No, there's been a lot of theory, and I've listened to it a lot recently because I've been on a Jurassic Park kick, where there can be an actual explanation of how it was the Rex.
Yeah. Or the baby Rex or something. Yeah.
Like, where it got loose because they shot it up and it was a locomotive, and then it's like, you didn't see it force its head through that entry, but someone's like, how do you know it didn't take out the like part of the cabin? Where I'm like, man, that would have been great if you just did a wider shot and it's part of the roof missing. It's like, that explains it. Yeah. But, yeah.
Just left it.
That's where last thing I'm going to shout out, like one thing I love, haven't liked either of the trailers for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
Just like, it's shown so much. But then also, especially the last trailer, I'm like, we're getting the Lost World again. Like, it honestly feels like we're back to that movie. But it's more also focusing on the hybrids now. Yeah. But it's like, oh, we've got a carnivore running around a city outside a window. I've seen this movie.
I've seen this one.
And then, but, so in the marketing, they've got, oh, Luna. They've got a website called Dinosaur Protection Group. And the awesome thing with it is they're doing in-universe explanations for a lot of the continuity gaps, like where the Spinosaurus in Jurassic Park 3 came from, whether or not there's dinosaurs on Isla Sorna anymore or not. And in universe, there isn't.
Oh, no, eh?
Yeah, no, they've been like...
They died? Lysine?
No. They, so, Ms. Ronnie, when they took over... Yeah. They did illegal experiments, and it was Wu who, like...
Fiendish Dr. Wu.
Black Dynamite reference.
Yes.
He created 3 new species, one of each, and one was the Spinosaurus, and tested it on the island, and then when further word got out, it's like they bought off officials, and then they were able to open up Jurassic World. So what they did was, they went to Isla Sorna, moved off surviving species. Okay. There had been a hurricane which had another hurricane which had really affected things, so a lot of the population had died. They moved off a bunch of families, so it's the idea of like in moving off a lot of the herbivores, the carnivores didn't have a source, so it's the idea
it's originally the island anyway.
Yeah, that everything on that island is dead.
Nice.
But I'm sure they could, if
Something
they ever
survived.
They could just be like, look, we're going back to this island. Mm-hmm. And I'd like that in the movie. I like continuity. So I appreciate that website, which has done all this stuff to answer continuity things.
That sounds like a good site. The thing, maybe it's on that site, is I wanted to see, or like just maybe a quick like in-movie recap, or like a promotional video of how they came back to Isla Nublar and built a new park on it. That's what I want to know. Because it was what it was at the end of the first movie. How'd they get back on there? Did they go around, round up the dinosaurs? What happened?
I think it's explained on the website where it's like they sent in essentially a giant task force. Like
Doldun.
Like it wasn't just like a team or even like a size of the team with what's his name? The hunter and the Lost World. Roland, yeah. Not even, like, bigger than his team. Nice. Where it was like they essentially, like, rounded up and then got in, like, enclosures until they could create new paddocks and stuff, so.
I see.
Yeah. Final thing I'll say with that is, like, what I wanted more out of this franchise was, and there was hopes of it in Jurassic World, is like a return to kind of like, yeah, Jurassic Park was about dinosaurs and visually it's amazing and all that, but it did flirt with and talk about deeper stuff like playing God, forces of nature, creating extinct animals, and man biting off more than they can chew. Mm-hmm. And it was hinted at a little bit in Jurassic World, but we're going away from that again. So part of me is like, yes, I'd love a giant dinosaur movie, and if it's going to be a B dinosaur movie, color me interested. But don't call it... Make a separate franchise. Like, don't sully this thing. At this point, I'd almost rather a book adaptation with the R rating.
I want some sort of... I think a good storyline like there was in the book. Like a mainland thing. Like, people on the mainland are getting bit, they're getting attacked, but nobody knows why.
Yeah.
And... like, this would be better if it was like... I was going to say off Isla Sorna. Maybe that is better. All the dinosaurs are thought to be dead, or... It's better in a situation where nobody knows dinosaurs exist.
Yeah.
But it's not like that anymore. But people on the mainland getting attacked, or sightings of dinosaurs, or something like that. And...
but not huge in public, where there can be a lot of
Yeah,
doubt.
not like San Diego.
Yeah, and that was a nice touch in the Lost World, where Malcolm was mocked and doubted,
Yeah.
and he had lost his standing in the scientific community, and everybody's like,
Yeah.
"You're a crackpot," and that guy being like, "Rah!" Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't want them to go back to just popcorn flicks.
Yeah.
Give us some Jurassic depth.
Yeah. That's where I'm at. So,
Yeah.
Mike, thank you for talking with me about Titanic, and then also
Oh, thank
Jurassic
you for
Park.
talking with me about Titanic.
And-
I make it sound like it's my favorite movie ever. I really like it. It
Yeah.
still has an effect on me. It will always. It's a great movie.
It's one I really like. It's not even one I'd say that's in my top 10, but it's a great film.
I want to go down to the wreck. I looked into it
Yeah,
last year. It would cost me like $100,000.
I'd believe it.
There was one of the expedition teams. They were looking for a video guy, and then he would go down like me, but something that was holding me back. Still, it would have been cool.
It would have been amazing.
Yeah, man. That ship was falling apart,
Oh yeah,
but that's nature.
yeah. Well, it's
And-
been
and-
down there
and
over
people,
100 years.
Yeah, and people exploring are damaging it. They're landing on the deck that can't take the weight of the sub anymore, and they're hitting things and taking things out that should be left, and the ship's collapsing faster than it needs to be. There's a video online of Robert Ballard, the guy who found the ship in 86. And he's talking about how people are damaging the ship, so just leave it alone. Like, go down, but don't touch anything.
Yeah,
But people go down there for souvenirs, and they don't respect it. The angle that he takes and others take is that it's a grave site.
yeah,
Don't touch it. And then people are, it's not a grave site. People died up on the surface. They didn't die down there.
it's what it represents, though.
Yeah. It's very sad.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. All right. Well, listener, thank you for listening, and let us know in the comments, what did you think about Titanic? Do you enjoy it as much as we do? Have you ever had that emotional breakdown moment like Mike hilariously described? And also, what do you think of Jurassic Park? Where does it rank for your movies? Are you excited for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom? I'd love to know, man. I'm on a dinosaur kick and a Jurassic Park kick right now. And actually, I'm going to sidetrack for a quick sec before we go.
All right.
Someone was like, Ready Player One is Spielberg returning. It's classic Spielberg returning. And I'll say to a degree, like when they're in the Oasis, and I loved seeing the classic Rex in there.
That was cool.
And any movie where I get the Rex, the DeLorean, King Kong, and friggin' Mechagodzilla, I am in.
Yeah.
But then it didn't have the heart that classic Spielberg movies have. In the real world stuff, it was missing the heart, I found, and the stakes that you get from classic Spielberg, from Jaws, from Jurassic Park, even from The Lost World, where I would love Spielberg to return to the Jurassic Park franchise in more than a producer role.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever will, but it'd be great if he could. So let me know what you thought of that and Jurassic Park. And please, as always, share this post if you can. Also subscribe. Subscribing means the world to me. I appreciate it greatly. Thank you for listening. Have a wonderful day. And God bless, my friends. Take care.